There was a time when Kobe Bryant was more than just a basketball legend. He was a business empire. But after the tragedy of his death in 2020, many wondered what would happen to his legacy. In this video, we reveal how Vanessa Bryant took control of billions and how she's spending them now. When Kobe died, Vanessa didn't just lose her husband, she inherited a legacy. From business stakes to investments, she was now in control of an empire worth over $600 million. It wasn't just about money, it was about purpose, reputation, and direction. Kobe had left behind more than basketball history. He had built businesses with long-term vision. His 10% stake in Body Armor alone turned into a $400 million windfall when Coca-Cola bought the company. Then there was Grandeur Studios, Kobe's storytelling platform, an outlet for books, animation, and content built to inspire. That was his creative soul, and now it belonged to her. In the weeks after the accident, the spotlight turned unrelentingly toward Vanessa. Paparazzi followed her every step. People questioned how she'd handle it all, whether she'd vanish from the public or crumble under the weight. But she didn't. Quietly, without press conferences or declarations, Vanessa began assuming control. The family's Newport Beach home became her headquarters, and behind the scenes, lawyers and financial advisors helped her sort the legal maze. Estate taxes, business valuations, IP rights. Nothing about it was easy. It was grave-wrapped in responsibility. Yet, through it all, the world watched, and many rooted for her. Not because she was a celebrity widow, but because she was visibly choosing strength. Vanessa didn't just step into Kobe's world, she redefined it on her terms. One of the first visible changes came in real estate. Vanessa began quietly adjusting the family's holdings, selling some homes and acquiring others, not out of extravagance, but out of strategy and necessity. In 2021, she sold the sprawling Irving home she and Kobe once shared. A 13,000 square foot mansion in a gated community. The property had been on and off the market for years, but after Kobe's passing, Vanessa let it go for $2 million over the asking price. That wasn't just a sale, it was a step forward, both emotionally and financially. She wasn't downsizing, if anything, she was repositioning. Vanessa picked up a stunning estate in Hidden Hills, a secluded neighborhood favored by A-listers like Drake and Kim Kardashian. The $12 million property, complete with horse stables and sweeping views, was private, secure, and close to the Calabasas area where she often spent time with her daughter. When Kobe died, Vanessa didn't just lose her husband, she inherited a legacy. From business stakes to investments, she was now in control of an empire worth over $600 million. It wasn't just about money, it was about purpose, reputation, and direction. Kobe had left behind more than basketball history. He had built businesses with long-term vision. His 10% stake in Body Armor alone turned into a $400 million windfall when Coca-Cola bought the company. Then there was Grandeur Studios, Kobe's storytelling platform, an outlet for books, animation, and content built to inspire. That was his creative soul, and now it belonged to her. In the weeks after the accident, the spotlight turned unrelentingly toward Vanessa. Paparazzi followed her every step. People questioned how she'd handle it all, whether she'd vanish from the public or crumble under the weight. But she didn't. Quietly, without press conferences or declarations, Vanessa began assuming control. The family's Newport Beach home became her headquarters, and behind the scenes, lawyers and financial advisors helped her sort the legal maze. Estate taxes, business valuations, IP rights. Nothing about it was easy. It was grave-wrapped in responsibility. Yet, through it all, the world watched, and many rooted for her. Not because she was a celebrity widow, but because she was visibly choosing strength. Vanessa didn't just step into Kobe's world, she redefined it on her terms. One of the first visible changes came in real estate. Vanessa began quietly adjusting the family's holdings, selling some homes and acquiring others, not out of extravagance, but out of strategy and necessity. In 2021, she sold the sprawling Irving home she and Kobe once shared. A 13,000 square foot mansion in a gated community. The property had been on and off the market for years, but after Kobe's passing, Vanessa let it go for $2 million over the asking price. That wasn't just a sale, it was a step forward, both emotionally and financially. She wasn't downsizing, if anything, she was repositioning. Vanessa picked up a stunning estate in Hidden Hills, a secluded neighborhood favored by A-listers like Drake and Kim Kardashian. The $12 million property, complete with horse stables and sweeping views, was private, secure, and close to the Calabasas area where she often spent time with her daughters. Around the same time, she made moves in Beverly Hills, subtle purchases through trusts and shell corporations that signaled smart wealth management rather than flashy headlines. To outsiders, it might have looked like luxury. But for Vanessa, these homes weren't trophies, they were shelter, investment, and healing space. Each move was deliberate, calculated for long-term value and emotional grounding. Real estate had always been a part of Kobe's portfolio, but now it became one of her tools. A way to honor what they built while reshaping it into something that fit her new reality. Many thought she would step back. Instead, Vanessa leaned in, hard. She started making business decisions Kobe would have been proud of. The clearest sign came when she finalized the sale of Kobe's body armor shares to Coca-Cola. That single deal brought in over $400 million. What looked like a payout to most was something much deeper to her. It was the closure of one chapter and the funding of new ones. Body armor wasn't just another sports drink to Kobe, it was one of his earliest and boldest investments. Made when the brand was still crawling against giants like Gatorade. He believed in it, and in honoring that belief, Vanessa didn't hold onto it sentimentally. She recognized the moment to make a power move, that money didn't sit idle. She took the reins of Grandeur Studios, the storytelling company Kobe created to inspire through content. Books, films, animation. She made key decisions about its direction, shelving projects that felt outdated and greenlighting new ones that aligned with both legacy and evolution. A children's book written in Gianna's memory went into development. Plans for short animated films focused on youth athletes quietly resumed behind the scenes. But Vanessa didn't stop at preserving Kobe's creations. She started investing on her own terms. Through venture firms, she directed capital into women-led startups in health, wellness, and media. These weren't headline-grabbing tech unicorns, they were smart, deliberate choices. Businesses with purpose and edge. Founders praised her as engaged, not just writing checks but asking questions, challenging pitches, offering strategic guidance. In a world where many spouses of athletes fade into the backdrop after loss, Vanessa did the opposite. She turned inherited influence into intentional leadership. These moves weren't just about empire building, they were about building a future her daughters could one day lead, just like she was doing now. Now, let's shift to the heart. How Vanessa spends not just with her mind, but her soul. Money didn't change Vanessa, it clarified her purpose. She became the face of their family's mission to inspire, support, and uplift others. And at the center of it all stands the Mamba and Mambacita Sports Foundation, a nonprofit that went from quiet charity to national force under her leadership. After Kobe and Gianna's passing, Vanessa didn't just keep the foundation alive, she reimagined it. She changed the name to include Gianna Mambacita, giving her daughter equal space in the legacy. What was once mostly focused on basketball grew into a broader mission. Creating equal opportunities for underserved youth in sports, especially young girls. And it wasn't just lip service. In 2021, the foundation partnered with organizations like the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Los Angeles and donated hundreds of thousands in sports gear, scholarships, and facilities. One program helped renovate basketball courts in low-income neighborhoods, painting them with Gianna's number and Kobe's motto, "Be legendary." But what sets Vanessa apart is that she's present. She doesn't just sign checks or make appearances for the camera, she's there on the sidelines, handing out uniforms, hugging parents, speaking to young athletes like they're family. At one girls' tournament sponsored by the foundation, she gave a speech that brought half the gym to tears. Gianna didn't just play, she said, she played with fire. That's what we are passing on. Not just skill, but courage. Even in fashion, she's folded purpose into every move. When she collaborated with Nike to release the Kobe 6 Prodero Mambacita Sweet 16 shoe in honor of Gianna's birthday, all proceeds went straight to the foundation. They sold out in minutes, not just because of the brand, but because of what they stood for. Vanessa also launched the Mambasita clothing line, with all profits supporting the foundation. The line's signature black and white colorway, Gianna's number 2 stitched on every item, wasn't just merchandise, it was memory made wearable. Celebrities like Kim Kardashian, Ciara, and Alicia Keys were spotted wearing it, helping amplify the message far beyond basketball. And through it all, Vanessa remains grounded in family. She brings her daughters with her to foundation events, they help pack donation boxes, they walk hand in hand onto courts named after their sister. It's not branding, it's healing. Every dollar spent through the foundation reflects a choice, not to forget, not to retreat, but to push forward with love, determination, and legacy. In a world where wealth often becomes a wall, Vanessa uses hers as a bridge to connect, to uplift, and to keep two extraordinary spirits alive in the lives of thousands who now carry their names on their backs and in their hearts. From philanthropy to personal flair, Vanessa's public style emerges. While building legacies behind the scenes, Vanessa also stepped into her own spotlight, gracing red carpets, covers, and designer campaigns. But unlike celebrity fashion that screams for attention, hers is quieter, more elegant, a blend of grace and quiet power. It's never performative, it's personal. Her relationship with fashion didn't begin after Kobe's passing, but it took a more defined shape once she began navigating public life on her own terms. In 2023, Vanessa was seen front row at Dolce & Gabbana's Alta Moda show in Venice, dressed in a custom black gown embroidered with the word Amor. That appearance wasn't just fashion, it was message. It said she was present, proud, and still writing her own story. Shortly after, Bulgari announced her as part of their global Magnifica campaign, positioning her alongside women who represent timeless strength. She didn't speak a word in the campaign video, but she didn't need to. Vanessa's Instagram presence is deliberate. Unlike typical influencer pages, it's not curated for trends. She shares glimpses of family life, tributes to Kobe and Gianna, and collaborations that reflect her values. Still, brands know the power of her platform. Millions of followers, and yet none of it feels manufactured. When she posted photos in Mambasita gear, it wasn't an ad, it was authenticity. Her influence doesn't rely on selling, it relies on trust. She's also built a tight circle of stylists and creatives who help shape her look without overpowering her identity. Jason Bolden, known for working with Taraji P. Henson and Yara Shahidi, has been part of her fashion evolution. But Vanessa's input is always the final word. Whether it's a velvet gown at the Oscars or a minimalist power suit at a foundation gala, everything she wears feels lived in, never costume. Yet despite the glamour, Vanessa is still raising 3 daughters, and she's never hidden the duality of that life. One day she's at Paris Fashion Week, the next she's packing school lunches and attending parent-teacher meetings. She's often seen in cozy sweats, sneakers, and no makeup, walking her youngest through Disneyland, just a mom in the crowd. And that balance is what defines her lifestyle. She lives in luxury, yes, but it's always wrapped in function, comfort, and control. The Beverly Hills property she bought isn't just a mansion, it's a fortress of privacy. Her cars, a fleet that includes a black Escalade and a Range Rover, are practical armor, not showpieces. Vanessa Bryant's lifestyle isn't aspirational in the way tabloids usually sell it. It's aspirational because it shows a woman reshaping grief into identity, using fashion not as an escape but as a reflection. She's not living in Kobe's shadow, she's standing in her own light, with grace, intention, and unmistakable style. Not all spending is financial, some of it is emotional, protective, personal. More than money, Vanessa spent time and energy defending Kobe's name, legally, publicly, and privately. In a world quick to exploit grief, she became the firewall between the Bryant legacy and everything that could distort it. One of her most public battles came in the form of a lawsuit against Los Angeles County. After the helicopter crash that claimed Kobe and Gianna's lives, it was revealed that first responders had taken graphic photos at the scenes. Photos that were shared among sheriff's deputies and even shown at a bar. Vanessa filed a lawsuit, not for headlines but for justice. She sat through court proceedings, listened to horrifying details, and fought like hell to make sure her family's tragedy wasn't reduced to gossip or spectacle. In 2022, she won. The court awarded her $28.85 million, but that number meant nothing next to the message. Privacy, even in pain, matters. And she had the strength to make sure the system heard that. Beyond courtrooms, Vanessa has fiercely protected Kobe's image and intellectual property. From his Black Mamba nickname to his signature logos, she's made sure nothing is used without respect and permission. She's terminated deals that didn't align with their values and taken legal action against companies trying to profit off his name. In a digital age where celebrity brands are easily diluted, Vanessa's kept Kobe's identity clear, clean, and intact. It's not about profit, it's about preservation. But protecting a legacy isn't just about saying no. It's about choosing what to say yes to, and Vanessa has been quietly curating projects that align with who Kobe was and what he stood for. She worked with ESPN and Granity Studios to develop a documentary that focuses not on his death, but on his second act, his life as a storyteller, father, and mentor. In 2023, a children's book written by Kobe, Legacy and the Queen, was re-released with a foreword by Vanessa, reframing it as not just a story, but a piece of their shared voice. She's also embraced new territory. NFTs, once dismissed as hype, became a tool for her to protect and share Kobe's digital legacy. One collection, launched in partnership with a blockchain platform, featured original artwork inspired by his career and values. Every sale went toward youth programs. For Vanessa, even the most modern medium had to serve a real-world purpose. No one trained Vanessa for this. No roadmap exists for guarding the memory of a global icon while raising his children. But she's done it anyway, with clarity, control, and a deep, unshakable love. Her fiercest investments haven't been financial, they've been spiritual. And in every action she takes, you can feel it. She's not letting anyone rewrite a story about her. Strip away the business. At her core, Vanessa is the mother first. Amid board meetings and headlines, Vanessa's main focus remains simple: her daughters. For all the global noise surrounding Kobe's legacy and Vanessa's public image, the rhythm of her life still revolves around school drop-offs, bedtime routines, and keeping the chaos of the world from touching one space that matters most: home. Natalia, the oldest, has stepped into young adulthood with remarkable grace. In 2021, she was accepted to the University of Southern California and made the bold choice to study film, staying close to home while pursuing her own identity. At the same time, she signed with IMG Models and landed her first major campaign with Beyoncé's Ivy Park. But she's not just living off her last name, she's shaping her own voice, often speaking publicly about grief, mental health, and resilience. Vanessa supports every step, but never pushes. It's all about giving her daughters the space to grow with strength and softness. Then there's Kipri and Bianca, still in their childhood years, largely shielded from the spotlight. Vanessa shares only tiny glimpses: birthday parties, beach days, holiday mornings. Their lives are filled with structure and calm, far from the public eye. That's by design. After the trauma of sudden loss in public mourning, stability became the most precious gift she could give them. What would you do with billions and a legacy like Kobe's? Vanessa Bryant has answered that in her own way. Leave your thoughts in the comments.